Hi everyone, I'm Sunshine,
And I'm Shogo.
and welcome to OMG Japan.
In this podcast, Rakugo master Katsura Sunshine and Let Shogo delve into the theme of enjoying Japan more, revealing the secrets of Japanese culture and the behind the scenes of our activities, all while aiming to connect more closely with you. Sunshine, long time no see.
Long time no see.
I'm so sorry.
Not at all.
We were supposed to do another recording a lot earlier time in December, so it was right after our first post of OMG. But I actually got a fever and I had a terrible throat and everything, so we had to postpone it for like almost 2 weeks, and we finally had another chance to do this recording.
Anyway, now we're back. Yeah, well, 2 weeks. I was off to my hometown of Toronto.
I was going to ask you about that.
My father. And then went to New York and did my last show of the year, and now back in Japan.
Awesome. So you went to Canada just to see your family then?
Just see my dad, my brother. I go every month because New York's so close.
Okay. Wow. Oh, you have a brother too?
Yeah, I have a younger brother.
Awesome.
And so we catch up every month, have a drink.
Oh,
My father is 90.
Really?
He's doing great. We should all be so lucky to see 90 at all.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, well, that's great. Awesome. And I love what you're wearing today. Is that a kimono too, or?
This is a kimono over a shirt instead of over a juban.
Mm-hmm.
And a juban has the same collar as a kimono, right? And then it's the underwear, but it has the same collar, so you feel like you have a double layered collar. Instead of doing that, I put a shirt on. I'm going into detail because a lot of people are listening to this on audio. So I've got a black shirt with gold interweavings, and the kimono is black with bronze interweaving. So I'm just missing silver.
It looks so cool. Is it your own, or you just bought it somewhere?
This is Katsura Sunshine Designs, collaboration with a kimono maker named Kisaburo, who's kind of a genius. Another cool thing about this is there's pleats in the sleeves. I keep hitting mute on the mic. It's really sensitive. Driving me crazy. They should get rid of that. Here, so you see, I got these pleats going, right, and it's got it coming down the side as well.
Yeah, I see.
These pleats are the kind of weaving pleats are kind of original facet of Kisaburo-san's original kimono design. So I really love the pleats. I actually asked him to put a lot more pleats in than he usually does because I'm not big on subtlety, as you probably have surmised up until now.
That's so awesome. Is it sold somewhere too, by the way? That kimono as well,
I received my first order actually in New York.
Yeah.
My buddy ordered one. I have one that's colored in the kind of sunshine, very, very like the kind of bright colored design, which is actually right behind me on the wall here. That he ordered that. Yeah. So it's not as elegant as the black one. But yeah, I'll make you one someday.
Cool. Really?
100%. Yeah, we just started making. I basically sold my first one like last week. We've basically been experimenting with them, and had not even set a proper price yet. We're just trying to figure it out. But yeah. So no, I think you would look great in it. Do you see the reflections, the bronze reflection? You can choose what color thread. So there's gold, silver, bronze. Then they have like green, orange, pink. Yeah, they got a lot, and it's just a very subtle weaving into the fabric, but it really changes the flavor of the kimono.
Wow. Trust me, I love kimono. So
yeah, I know. And
yeah.
I was gonna say, you're wearing an incredible kimono today too.
Thank you so much.
Explain to the viewers.
It's really hard to say. I mean, the Japanese
off the charts. This one
product name was Animal Design. Yeah, Animaru Gara. You say
Animaru Gara. Right.
Well, how would you explain this? Like, it's like a cheetah kind of design, but it has all sorts of colors. It has green, white, purple, black, and has spots on it. Yeah. This is probably the most hade, the kimono I've ever purchased before. Yeah.
It's so funny because you couldn't find the English word for hade, and I was trying to describe hade a minute ago, and I could only come up with hade. Some words the Japanese word is so perfect that it's hard to.
Yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hade means like bright or gaudy, but gaudy has a negative connotation. I mean, sometimes people
Exactly.
say
Yeah.
hade in a negative way. Say hadeyana. And that sounds kind of negative, but I never take it negatively. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
that's a good explanation. It's a cheetah pattern,
mhm.
but it's overlaid with like black and white or purple and black or green and black.
Yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
hit you as a cheetah design immediately.
Yeah, so I've been
Excuse
buying
me.
all sorts of different. It's okay.
Sorry.
I've been all buying all sorts of different men's kimono recently, and again, I'm trying to make my own kimono too.
Oh
Yeah, so
yeah.
I'm trying to buy them, actually put them on, and see how it works. I mean, I'm trying out different fabrics and
Yeah,
different
yeah, yeah,
designs
yeah.
and seeing if I like it or not and such. I'm still on the phase of trying to look for what I like. Yeah, the fabrics
100%.
and
Yeah.
designs and such, and because you need to actually see different designs to actually be able to think of your own one, right? So. I'm at the stage right now, and I've been buying what like I have a whole shelf with all my men's kimono over there.
I
So
can imagine.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. That's
find also it's not just seeing what you like, but I love seeing how people react and what do they notice and
that
that
is
kind of thing.
true.
Because there's sometimes there's really stuff that's really obvious to me and that I
Hmm.
love about the certain kimono and
Yeah,
people
yeah,
don't
yeah.
notice it. And then there's something that I think is really subtle, like who would notice this aspect? And
Uh-huh.
everybody seems to like pick up on it. So
Really?
that's something. I mean, I'm wearing clothes for people's enjoyment, not just my own, of course. So I find it really important to wear it for a while, wear it out, see people interact and see what they pick up on, see what people like, see what makes them smile.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm actually thinking right now of doing some collaborations, actually. I work with Kobudo Asami Shinryu, right? I talked about the 22nd Headmaster, Sixth Sensei, and such. And I'm really hoping to make some kimono that the students who are training under Sixth Sensei can wear.
Right.
So, like for example,
Okay.
some of the katas, like the techniques that we train with katanas and the staffs and such, have names related to animals.
Right.
Like sometimes we have something called the falcon staff. Our techniques are called the falcon staff because the speed is really fast. So
Yeah.
I want to have this could it be denim? Yeah, but on the back of the
Yeah.
kimono, I want to have a picture of a falcon with a staff in its beak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something like that. So
Wow.
I want to create something like that. Yeah, there's other kata that's names related to like scenery or animals and stuff, and I want to have those designs in the
Oh,
kimono. So
that is
that's
cool.
so far that's what I have in mind. Yeah,
That is very, very cool.
I hopefully be able to make them next year. Yeah, I try to find a time for the designs and everything, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the this material obviously can be printed on as well. And
Cool.
because I don't know if you've seen the shirts I had like that were printed in
Mhm.
very bright colors and that kind of thing. That's the same material. So I'd love to have a kimono that had some
Mhm.
relationship to the story I'm doing that day.
Ah,
Um,
that's
we're gonna
nice.
start with Tenugui next because I planned out all my stories for both Asakusa Tokyo and
Mm-hmm.
for Broadway. So the
Hmm.
stories are planned out for the whole year. Once 1 month, 1 month will be two stories I'll focus on,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
enough time to actually be designing the material based on that. And then I have my apprentices that will be doing at least one of them will do a story in between my two stories. So up till
Oh.
now, I've just stayed on stage and done two stories, which doesn't give me a chance to
Mm-hmm.
change. But now, if one of the
Mm.
apprentices does a quick story, I have a chance to change the kimono.
Yeah.
So it's something I don't know if we'll be on time for January, but at some point, yeah. Aside, it's kind of the same idea as you. We think alike.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so cool. I was actually going to ask you about your students, by the way. I saw your Instagram story saying that, hi, this is, Sunny and Moonlight, They are both in New York, right? Are they
Yep, they're
both,
both based in New York.
and you're in New York like once a month and so on, about around
Yeah,
there, right? Yeah.
yeah.
How do you train them though? You only see them, not so often, right? Not all the time. So
Well,
how
I
does the
mean,
training go for them? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm there, and both of them have come back to Japan over the last 2 months or 3 months. They only
Mhm.
started 3 months ago, and so a lot of the training is just helping out the master, right? Doing the shows and that kind of thing, and in everyday work. So they've both made it back to Japan separately, and then I stay in New York for various lengths of time.
Mhm.
We're also doing a lot of stuff online. Like Sunny, my first apprentice, is helping me with Instagram videos and
Oh,
doing the editing and all that. And I mean, that's actually it's interesting because that's training. Because when he started doing the
yeah, yeah,
videos, I was like, why would you cut it there? And you're not thinking of like how the audience is not going to understand it if you cut this out. And but now he's starting to get
Mm.
really good at it. And I think that's part of the Rakugo training is like, okay, put yourself in the audience's shoes. That's in fact that's could be the most
Yeah.
important thing about a Rakugo storyteller is putting your like reading the wind, Kukyo Yomu, basically
Yeah, yeah,
putting
yeah,
yourself
yeah.
in the audience's shoes, making sure that they understand. Because, of course, you understand. You've read the story 100 times and rehearsed it. But does the
Yeah, yeah,
audience know
yeah.
what you're talking about? And that's hard when you're starting. I remember that. So I think,
Makes
yeah, I think it's a
sense.
it's a it's a very different kind of training. Also, Moonlight is going to be helping my producer Joe
Mhm.
doing things like booking shows, organizing publicity, and promotion and that kind of thing. Um,
Mhm.
so, and that's, I mean, that's kind of a lot of the stuff that we did for our master when we were together all the time. So
Oh,
it's kind of a modern day apprenticeship.
yeah, especially the editing part, you know. Never heard of something
Yeah.
like that before, but it sounds really nice
Yeah.
though.
The previous
Yeah.
generation wouldn't necessarily have done that. I just wanted to help at first, but then I realized, oh, this is really, really good for him. It's interesting.
Wow.
It's interesting. Just where he cuts, because you need to make maybe a 5 minute routine
Yeah.
into 1 minute or a
Yeah,
minute and a
yeah, yeah.
half.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
just
yeah.
where the cutting happens, it's like, okay, nobody's going to understand what the hell I'm talking about if you cut that, if you cut there, right? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, the reason why I say that editing is going to be really good training for your
Yeah.
students too is because that's exactly what I do for my, Kobudo master, Sekinobite Sensei, right? Because
Right.
I
Sure.
run
Yeah.
his channel, Let's Ask Six Sensei,
There you
and
go.
I've made over a few dozens of videos for him, making me a lot of
Yeah.
shorts and full videos. Even now, I make at least one or two videos a week.
Right.
So the thing is that I see him doing the
Yeah.
katas, the techniques over and over and over because I'm editing,
Yeah.
I'm listening to his stories over and over and over, right? So there were some times I wasn't able to train because of the sickness that I have, because I'm taking care of kids, and I wasn't
Yeah.
able to train for like more than half an year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
after that, I picked up my katana. I decided, maybe I should start training a little bit again. And when I did it, my body, even though I wasn't physically training, there's so many information inside my head that I took time to dissolve that I was actually able to do a lot better. Then a month
Yeah.
later, I took an exam, Dom promotion exam. We call it the
Yeah.
World of Budo. I
Yeah.
took it, and my sensei said, at your level right now, your techniques are flawless. Right now, there's nothing to say. And I've
It's
only trained for
fascinating.
1 month.
Yeah.
For 6 months, I only did video editing, listening
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
senseis, and I was able to pick that much up. So I think being able to take the time to repeatedly see your master sensei,
Yeah.
perform or do the techniques and everything is really important, I think. So
Yeah. That's fascinating that you say that because
Mhm.
myself too, when I'm learning a new story, like just kneeling down and
Mhm.
rehearsing as I would do it on stage, I don't do it. I don't think I go through a whole story even once doing that.
Really? Okay.
I'll walk down the street and it's image training, right? I image
Yeah.
train and memorize certain like certain important lines or longer speeches are hard. If it's dialogue, I could almost improvise it. Like because I
Mhm.
know where this dialogue has to go, and it's really easy talking two characters with quick exchanges. But a longer monologue is a lot more. You got to get that memorized down because it's much harder to improvise on stage.
Makes sense.
And so I'm picking points and I'm picking important parts of this parts of the story, but it's mostly just like what you just said. It's just more like image training, and on stage it comes together.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly, exactly. That's so interesting. Awesome.
So it is training in a way,
Yeah,
in a
exactly,
very interesting
exactly.
way.
Wow, that's awesome. So who's going to be on stage first then? Is it going to be Sunny or Moonlight? You were saying in between your performances?
Well, ordinarily it would
Uh-huh.
go in seniority. So Moonlight,
That's right, that's right.
the second, the bottom
Okay.
person would be the top batter in the way if you're gonna
Makes
say it in that
sense.
way.
Uh-huh,
So
uh-huh.
she might do like what you call the zenza or the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes, so opening story, and then I would do a
Mhm.
story, and then Sunny would do the one in between, and I would go on again. Ordinarily, but it depends. It depends on who's more ready. Like one of them might not be ready by January, so I might just use one of them,
Mm.
and so in which case I might use them in between instead of at the very
Oh,
beginning. I'm not
makes
sure,
sense. Makes
but it doesn't really. There's no rules. It's just the way it's usually done is the junior person goes first, and
sense.
then
Makes sense, makes sense. So the masters and their seniors can pick it up later, kind of thing, right?
pick it up later, or but then they also go in between and stuff like that when there's three of us and
Mm.
that kind of thing. Now the other thing is I'm having them
Interesting.
learn hamemono, which is the instruments. So
Oh,
she's
really?
learning the taiko drums, and he's learning shamisen, and then I play taiko to some extent as well. So we're going to be trading.
Seriously?
So up until now, it's just been
Yeah.
CDs or whatever, like the data from the computer,
Yeah,
running the
yeah,
sound
yeah.
off the computer. But we're gonna have it. We're gonna have the show with live instruments starting in January,
Really? That's so
which is a lot of
cool.
fun because Osaka Rakugo, there's actually music that comes in as mood music in the middle of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Much more than Tokyo Edo Rakugo. Osaka,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the characteristics of Osaka Rakugo is that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the stories, music starts playing in the middle of in an appropriate place. I love that. I did a little. We did a little bit as an experiment last year, like
Yeah,
their
yeah,
second month
yeah.
of apprenticeship. They were already doing the ghost music for the okiku's plates, counting the plates. Ichimai,
Really?
nimai, samai. And the good thing about that is we didn't do any kind of decided music. It's just like random, chikin, chikin, chikin. And then the shamisen just
Really?
goes boom, 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 that kind of thing. So there was didn't have to follow any notes or anything like that. Just set the mood. But they did great, and it sounded like watching the video after. Oh my god, it's just like night and day having it or not having it.
Wow, that's so awesome. My
That's a lot of fun. I
gosh.
think it's great for the audience to be able to experience that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So recently, I just finally almost finished like 80% of our first YouTube video that we filmed in Kyoto together.
Oh right,
It's
wow,
almost completed. Yeah. And I also, because, after editing our video together, I
yeah,
got, interested in Rakugo even more. And
yeah,
I actually filmed a couple of YouTube shorts
nice.
where I talk about the stories of some of the Rakugo stories. Actually,
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
did
yeah, yeah.
again Manju Kawaii. I did Shinigami. I did Neko no Sara. I did all sorts of stories, and I still have a lot more that I want to write. So
Sure,
I'm not like doing it in a Rakugo style, but just introducing the stories to
right,
people. So they'd be
right.
like, "Oh, Rakugo sounds interesting. Let me actually hear the real one." I want
Yeah,
more
yeah,
people to
yeah,
be
yeah.
interested. So what I really wanted to ask you is that what do your students train first? I mean, there's like few hundred stories, right? What are the
Yes.
like the elementary stories that they would practice?
There's a set of stories called Zenza Banashi. It's
Oh,
kind of a
okay.
category, and those are just kind of considered. Um, they're easy to learn in that it's
Mhm.
limited to very few characters and very maybe
Mm,
basic dialogue.
mhm,
And they also tend to be really funny.
mm.
But also they tend to be good for a lot of the skills you need. Like they'll have
Makes
eating
sense.
the udon noodles or the soba noodles,
Mm.
or like in the zoo, they'll have the walking of the tiger is one of those actions. If it's miso
Yeah.
beans, you'll have like eating the miso beans. It could be a sake story. So they tend to have some basis of training, but they're also
Mhm.
able to be delivered very short, like maybe 5 6 minutes. You
Mhm,
can
mhm,
you
mhm.
can shrink it down, and they tend to be quite funny. So like even though you're not
Mhm.
experienced,
Mhm.
you're not good yet, the audience can still
Yeah.
kind of enjoy it, and there's
Makes
not too much. There's
sense.
not too much to get your mind around. I hope my Rocco seniors find that explanation acceptable. That's what my interpretation of the Zenza
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Zenza stories
yeah.
are. Yeah.
So,
So,
so the miso beans are included in that category,
oh,
or?
100%. The miso beans, it's the first
Ah,
story I ever did.
oh,
And
wow.
actually, and that's what Sonny's doing right now. He's practicing miso beans.
Mm.
And my second Deshi, my second apprentice, Moonlight,
Hmm.
is practicing kohome, which is complimenting
Mm.
babies.
Yes, yes,
And
yes, yes.
that's interesting, Shogo-san, because I
Mm.
do I do a full version, a kind of a full version. I don't even know, think I do the whole thing. I've
Mhm.
cut out certain parts, but that if you do like the real full out version,
Mhm.
it's a good 22 minute story. But but
Really?
it's something also that you can cut down to. I could do it in 3 minutes. You could
Oh,
do it. You could
okay.
do a really short version of it and still like it catches the humor of it. It's just It's just when you do it longer, you're just adding episodes that are based
Uh-huh.
on the same premise, and all the episodes are great. Like I did a pretty full version just a few days ago on Broadway, and it went really
Yeah.
well. But
Wow.
Moonlight is learning like like I think a 5-6 minute version of it, and
Good.
yeah, she's really good at it. I think she'll be ready for January.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yes, and I'm so sorry. The someone's at the door actually
Oh,
ringing the
I didn't even
doorbell. You
hear.
might have heard that. Oh,
No
really? You
problem.
didn't
Didn't
hear
hear
it?
anything.
Oh,
No.
that's good. That's good. Okay.
These mics, like I don't know, it's weird
They're
to be. It's
really good,
weird to
aren't
be
they?
like I'm being amazed over our microphone equipment, but they're really good. I had to do
Yeah.
radio. I appear on Kagoshima radio
Yeah, yeah.
once a week as well,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
I had to do radio. And there's construction on my balcony. I'm glad it disappeared because up until about an hour ago they were doing construction on my
Yeah,
balcony.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's this is going on for months.
Mhm.
But we recorded, and when I was going back to edit the sound,
Yeah,
I was shocked by how little of the actual construction sound comes out. It
exactly,
identifies the
exactly.
voice and blocks everything else out. And I think
That's right.
it's the new version that I got you to buy and then retroactively bought
Yes.
myself. They
Yes, yes,
really
yes,
like
yes.
they really ramped up that technology, which is great for us because we're not technical. It's a really simple.
I'm
Sounds like
definitely
we're being
not.
sponsored by the mic. Maybe they should sponsor us.
Yeah. No, because you sometimes sneeze during the recordings,
I do,
and
yeah,
you're like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, but I didn't hear the sneeze actually.
yeah. There you go.
I only
That's so
hear the I'm
weird.
sorry. I'm like, what are you sorry about? Kind of thing happened today too, actually, just earlier.
Hilarious.
So
The mic knows that's sunshine. Stop sneezing.
well, that's
Hilarious.
amazing. Wow, that's
Yeah.
great. But because you mentioned a little bit about the music coming in during the Osaka Rakugo style, you were
Yeah,
saying
yeah, yeah.
there was someone who left us a comment asking you about that actually.
Oh
So
yeah, I got to get to
please,
the
please,
comments. So sorry about that.
exactly. We have an amazing comment. Thank you so much on Shinzetsu-sen 7200. Thank you so much for your comment. Thank you.
She just said,
So here her his or her question was, I have a question regarding Kamigata Osaka Rakugo apprenticeship. Since
yeah.
Kamigata style does not have the ranking system present in Edo style Rakugo, how
Oh
is
yeah.
one regarded once apprenticeship is completed? What is the path to being named a master of Kamigata style? So I
Yeah.
think,
Such a good
Sasha, I need you
question.
first of all explain to us, first of all, what the two styles, how they were born and how they are different, and then maybe get to his question too. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this when we
Uh-huh.
did our show in Kyoto, which you're editing
Yes,
now,
that's right. Yep, yep.
and that episode took about an hour and 15 minutes, I think. So,
Yes, it did. It did. It
so
did.
to make it short, the Edo or Tokyo tradition, Edo was a samurai city, and
Mhm.
so that affected the storytelling style. It was inside a tatami room. It was quiet. Everybody, once they came in, they didn't leave until the show was finished, and
Mm.
and the storyteller would look at the audience because, like, for example, it would be a little bit dangerous to make fun of samurai, but everybody's favorite stories were the ones that made fun of samurai, so they'd make sure there are no samurai around, and then they'd choose their story after they've gotten on stage, after they've seen the audience. And that's very different. In Kamigata, it was outside. It was in the Sando, which is the road leading up to a temple or shrine.
Yeah,
And you have
yeah.
kind of like the marketplace. You would
Mhm.
know that from like Asakusa, or I'm sure there's tons of them in Kyoto as well, where the road
Yeah,
leading
yeah.
up to the shrine has all these. It has, okashi,
Uh-huh.
pastry shops and souvenir shops and all kinds of. It's very, very
Yeah.
lively area of town, and
Uh-huh,
that's where they would
uh-huh.
perform. So whereas Edo Rakugo can be very elegant, it's also
Okay.
on the slower side, not focusing on the humor as much as really telling stories very, very elegantly because you have a captive audience. Whereas Osaka Rakugo, if someone's bored for 10 seconds, they would just leave. So you're really trying to make sure you're making people laugh as much as possible, keeping it very lively, etc.
Interesting.
So part of keeping it lively for Osaka Rakugo was bringing in the instruments and that kind of thing.
Makes
Now,
sense.
to this
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
just to explain to everyone, in Edo Rakugo, you have your apprenticeship period that's called Zenza. So you are a Zenza. That's the category you are. And that's
Mhm.
the first 4 years, about 4 years. And
Yeah.
then you become Futatsume. And Futatsume, it means like second, like Futatsu is two. It means there's your second stage. And
Uh-huh.
then when you become Shinuchi at around year 13, 12, well, 11, 12, 13, 14, around there, it depends on your. It depends on a bunch of factors like who your master is and which union they're part of and
Uh-huh.
that kind of thing.
Okay.
So then you have a ceremony where you're considered a master. You could take apprentices when you're shinuchi. You call it shinuchi.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, I think our questioner
Uh-huh.
is going to be very interested in this part. Osaka used to have that.
Really?
Apparently, if you look at the Osaka, the history, because you have like a family tree that goes back hundreds of
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I can
yeah.
trace mine back to like Katsura Bunshi the sixth, the Katsura Bunshi the fifth, Katsura Bunshi the fourth, and then back.
Yeah.
So decades and decades ago, they used to have this system. But the problem is, as soon as you became shiuchi, as soon as you're considered a master,
Uh-huh.
your income taxes went up. And in Osaka, which is always like it was not,
Huh.
I said Edo is the samurai town.
Yeah.
Osaka is the merchant city. So it's very, very business minded people. And this
Yeah.
led into like comedians. Like, I didn't do anything different than last year. And now suddenly I have to pay more taxes. They didn't like it. So they got rid of the naming to obscure it. So no bureaucrat could prove that you were a master. And so they couldn't raise your taxes. Apparently, that's the reason. I heard this from a professor who specializes in Rakugo. Funnily enough, not from one of the masters, but that's apparently the reason.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so interesting. I had no clue about
it's
that.
such a comical
Wow.
reason. It's like, why do I have to pay more taxes? So Osaka. It's so Osaka, right?
It is absolutely very Osaka.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then yeah, like but his question though, then how do you actually end your apprenticeship? Like how do you know what level that person is, without
Yeah.
those categories then?
Yeah, so that's right. Back to his point. That's it's a great question.
Yeah, yeah,
Number
yeah.
one, if you're an apprenticeship, you're with your master all the time.
Mhm,
You're cleaning his house and doing the laundry and all that, and excuse me, and you're basically with the master.
mhm,
So the
mhm.
master one day will say your apprenticeship is over, so you know it's over, and then you kind of announce that to people, so then they'll feel free to invite you to do jobs and stuff like that. While you're under
Okay.
apprenticeship, they can't really invite you to do stuff because they have to get permission from your master to use you and that kind of thing. And if the master's really
That's
busy,
right.
then he doesn't want to lend you out. So you don't tend to get too many. This is Osaka, okay? It's different. In Tokyo, people are using the Zenza all the time. That's part of how they make a
Oh,
living while they're Zenza, and they have
yeah.
specific roles to play at everybody's Rakugo performances, that kind of thing. So
Mhm,
it's a little
mhm.
bit different. But so when the master says you're finished, basically your apprenticeship.
Oh, okay.
Now, when do you become a master? It's very, very. And here's another word that I find difficult to put it. It's very aimai.
Okay, okay, okay.
It's
Uh,
what is it
h-
like?
hard to say exactly. Vague.
It's vague. That's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Your English is like 100 times better than mine. It's vague. It's a bit
Yeah.
vague, but
Uh,
maybe usually it's around. They basically do it the equivalent to the years in Edo. So it's around year
ooh.
11, 12, 13. The new people coming in start calling you Shisho, which is master. So
Mm.
people around start calling you master. The young people that are coming in that are in their first, second years, they start calling you master because they've calculated how many years above them you are. And
Mm.
so it's really, and there's no ceremony, there's nothing. You just kind of
Oh,
slide into it. Now, if you want
okay.
to take apprentices, like if you're in year 11, if you're in year 10, year 11, and you want to take apprentices, I mean, ultimately to take your first apprentices, you need the permission of your own master.
Yes,
I
yes.
think if I was in year 10 or year 11, I said, master, I think I want to take apprentices, and some people are asking me, he would just say, whoa, not yet. You're not ready for that. You're not ready to teach anyone. So, but for me,
Mhm.
that didn't happen. But it happened now. I'm in my 17th year,
Mm.
so I'm well into the years of being considered a master.
Mhm.
Um, the one of the things I said, actually, I reminded my master when I went to my master. I said a couple of people have want to be my apprentice, and he said his first reaction, oh, that's great, and in New York, even better.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Spread it out there. That's so he thought it was really cool. And then
Mhm.
there was a kind of a ten, a drop, a dot dot dot. I said, "Oh, master, I think I'm in my 17th year right now." And then
Mhm,
he
mhm.
he immediately looked more relaxed. He, oh, 17, that's fine.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think immediately the number came into his head. It's
Okay.
like, okay, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa,
If it's
this isn't too
17
early yet.
years.
Yeah, because he has like
Yeah.
20, 22, 23 apprentices. So he doesn't remember exactly what year everyone's in. I mean, that's something
Course,
it's
of
very
course.
important to oneself, but like it's not like your master's keeping track of how many years you've been around.
All
It
yeah.
gets blurry, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
to the point of that question, which is it's just an incredible question. It's really really good
Hmm.
question first off, and I could
Yeah.
write a chapter of a book on this kind of thing. But it's
Uh-huh.
very曖昧. It's very very vague.
Uh-huh.
And it's very kind of like the community kind of decides, your environment decides. It's kind of decided for you in a
Nice.
way. You just slide into it.
That is so interesting. I really did
Yeah.
had no clue. I mean, the person who left this comment must know a lot about Rakugo in the first
Yeah.
place.
That
You know?
question shows a very deep knowledge of Rakugo. Yeah. Great question. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. And if we could jump into another question, by the way, that we
Sure.
received,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's Jan underbar P son. Thank you so much for your comment.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Between the two of you, you practice and know of many Japanese traditional arts. What drew you to those arts, and are these arts growing or receding in Japan? What arts are seeing an unexpected revival in Japan, if any? Is the question. Yes.
Whoa. That's a great
That's
question.
another deep
Thank
question
you, Jan.
too. Thank you so much.
Um,
What would you say? Yeah.
well, that's it. That's interesting. I could
Yeah.
answer to I could speak to Rakugo in
Hmm.
that I think the most popular time for Rakugo in terms of number of actual yosei theaters
Mm.
would have been like late Edo period.
Hmm.
Uh, because there's you can see on Ukiyo-e there's like a
Oh yeah.
Broadway somewhere in Tokyo in Edo, and it's just
Mhm.
got theater after theater after theater, and they're either kabuki or Rakugo. It's like one of the two.
Yes, that's
So
true.
those are the popular art forms of the time. So when you say like when was Rakugo's heyday, you could say that. That being
Mm.
said, there are over 1,000 professional storytellers now, which is the most in
Yeah.
history. So you could call
Oh,
that a huge
really?
revival. I mean, that's Rakugo's maybe as popular as it ever was at this moment.
Really? I didn't know that 1,000 is a big number or a small number or not. So it's
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean, when I was starting, it was more like 700, 800, and it's just been growing and growing every year.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so nice.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. It's
Wow.
cool, and
Because
they even have a show
yeah.
on Broadway now,
Yeah, that's the thing. Exactly. It's even going overseas now.
worldwide,
Yes, and
worldwide.
us doing these, projects
The
together, I'm pretty
podcast and
sure,
yeah,
yeah, I'm pretty sure more people are gonna know about Rakugo, and yeah, myself too. The more I study about Rakugo, my mother actually is from Kyoto, and
yeah.
she grew up watching Rakugo all the time on TV and on radio and everything, so she loves Rakugo actually. So
Oh,
I
excellent.
was really surprised that she listened to our first episode, I think, and she told me that her favorite Rakugoka was
Yeah,
Katsura Show.
yeah. He's
Yeah,
brilliant.
and
Yeah,
she was like, Shogo, you don't know Katsura Show, and I was like, no, I don't know him. Like he was my favorite Rakugoka.
yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah,
what
yeah.
my mother
Genius.
said.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, me too. Listening right now recently to a lot of Rakugo and reading about them. I actually bought this book saying the Rakugo Arasuji Hyakusen.
oh,
The
nice.
a
Yeah,
hundred storylines of the Rakugo stories kind of thing book, and I recently started reading those too. And the
yeah,
stories are just so interesting, and of course they're fun, to listen to and to enjoy. But they're also gives you teaches you a really important lesson in life too. So I
yeah.
just really enjoy it so much. So I'm really
It's a
happy to hear that Rakugo
snapshot
is
of community life like 100 to 200 years ago. It's really fascinating. Yeah,
exactly, exactly. And I really like how the people who appear in Rakugo tend to be a little bit foolish. Sometimes
yeah,
the things that they do might not be considered really good to do. Yeah. But
yeah.
that's like, again, it teaches you like, humans are like that. And
We're
why don't
fallible
we
and
accept it? Well,
ridiculous. Yeah,
exactly, accept each other, love each other, even
yeah,
if we are, we have a lot of flaws, kind of thing. So I really am loving and starting to fall in love with Rakugo myself. Absolutely. So I'm really happy to hear Rakugo is gaining more attention and
yeah. And
popularity
that's a
recently.
great
Awesome.
observation, Shogo-san, because
Yeah.
one of the things about Rakugo is that
Mhm.
considering it's an old-fashioned and traditional art form,
Mhm.
there's no good versus evil. There are no evil characters. There are some ill-intentioned characters, but they're usually
Yes, yes.
bumbling and cannot like go through with their ill intentions. But
Uh-huh.
there's no characters who are just evil.
Exactly.
And you
Exactly.
in so many cultures and so many art forms, you have like good versus evil, and then maybe you find
Yeah.
some good in the evil person. You feel sorry for Darth Vader at some point, but it's kind of it's set out that way, right? As a kind of
Yes,
black. It's
yes,
very
yes,
it's much
yes.
more black and white. Whereas Rakugo, yeah, they're really, it's just kind of all the characters are really like lovable in their own ways.
Yeah, exactly. They're all cute, in a way. Yeah,
In a way,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so much fun to
exactly.
play as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
That's
I
amazing.
can't see performing a story where I didn't love the characters. If you
Hmm.
fall in love with the characters, then you do that story. Yeah. Now
Uh-huh.
you have
Yeah.
you have your antennae into a lot of different art forms in Japan. How would you
Yeah.
answer this question?
So I was really happy to hear that Aku was doing a very good job, right? The things that I train in mainly, they're all not doing a very good job actually. They're
It's getting
in
rarer
a
for people to do them, right?
crisis, I would say.
Oh, really?
So I would say the thing that's gaining more popularity rather is absolutely, Budo related to katanas and such. With
Right.
all of the video games and also the movies, Shogun on Netflix and all that kind of stuff
Sure.
is absolutely
Sure.
gaining, more attention to martial arts related to katanas like EI and such,
Yeah.
Kenjutsu. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great, I think. There's more people, especially overseas, who are willing to learn about it. So that's the reason why, my Let's Have Six Insane channel is gaining more popularity. We have more than
Right.
100 online lesson members, and whenever we
Beautiful.
hold the annual training camps in Japan, this year too, 2024, we were able to have around 60 people come and join. It was our first time doing it, and
Yeah.
maximum 60 people almost came. And next year, we're going to be doing it again for probably maximum 60 people again, but we already have 10 or few tickets already sold.
Right.
Yeah, so a lot of people are going to come in again. So I think Budo, Kobudo, Katana, Kenjutsu, EI, these are gaining more popularity, at least overseas. Not so much in
Right.
Japan, maybe, but overseas, yes. The other things that I do, no theater, yes. Shakuhachi,
Yeah.
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 Tea ceremony. These are really struggling right now.
Are
If
you
I can give
serious?
you,
I
yeah,
thought tea ceremony is pretty popular.
tea ceremony is doing, I think, okay. Yeah, but it's
Right.
not like really growing or, I mean, if we say in Japan, I think it's gradually going downhill. Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
it's getting more popular overseas, maybe through, anime and stuff like that. But in
Sure.
Japan, from my experience, like hearing like other tea masters talk about how many students they have, or whenever I take part in like annual events, like
Yeah.
the headmasters hold and such. I personally feel I've been training in tea ceremony for like what 7, 8 years now. I feel
Yeah.
that every year there's very less and less people from my point of view. Yeah, because
Interesting.
most of the people that come are elderly, and
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes they
Yeah.
can't walk anymore. They can't come. They're hospitalized. They can't come anymore. And I feel that
Sure.
it's shrinking like at a few percent every year. I feel
Right.
in
Generate
the
the
past.
generation.
Exactly,
The
exactly.
generation is going down. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's right. And no theater, and also the world of shakuhachi, and also maybe other traditional instruments too, are struggling a lot too. Especially
Right.
no theater, I feel. Yeah,
Right.
exactly, exactly. Because no theater, the thing about no theater is that it's really, first of all, difficult to understand. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't something that's meant to be easy to understand in the first place from the past,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a stage performance that was enjoyed by the higher ranked people in the past, right? With a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
dedication, all that kind of stuff, a lot of knowledge. So even today, for us Japanese people, even if you go and see no theater, like a few minutes later, we're sleeping, right?
I know.
Yeah,
When I
it's
went to see
different from
No
that kind
Theater,
of
like
stuff.
two-thirds of the audience was asleep. I thought that was so funny.
Exactly, exactly. And I
Felt
mean,
bad for the performers.
the no performers say that the singing that they
Yeah.
do, we call it
Yeah.
jutai, which means earth
Jutai.
singing. Yeah, in no theater,
It's
it
not a
actually
traffic
the
jam, I guess, right?
it's not the jutai, yes, the
Yeah.
jutai, yeah.
Jutai.
The vibrations it actually has the alpha waves
Right.
included in the sounds, and it gives you actually relaxation effect.
Oh.
So if it makes you relax and wants you to sleep, is actually natural. It's a natural reaction. So
So
they say
No
it's
Theater
okay,
was
but
designed to put you to sleep.
I don't know. There's some people that said that. I'm not too sure. I read about the studies, I heard about the stories, but anyways, yeah. So you need a lot of people to perform no properly. You need the main
Yeah.
actor, you need the sub actors, you need the 8 jiutai singers, which are the
Yeah, yeah,
fours on the
yeah.
sides. You need the 5 instruments. Yeah, you need that many people. But if you have very few audience, who's gonna be, paying for their salaries, right? Being
Yeah.
on stage and such. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
of
yeah.
course, there is a smaller version where you only have a few actors on stage and it's like a shrink version
Sure.
kind of thing, but that's not the actual no theater kind of thing?
Right.
So it's really difficult. I mean, I've been training in no theater for about as long as I've been doing tea ceremony, so like 7, 8 years now. But
Yeah.
that idea of, oh, how about I start training in no theater? Isn't something that comes to your mind suddenly, right? And
Yeah,
tea ceremony might come to mind. Maybe Nihonbuyo, like Japanese traditional dancing, might come to your mind as such. Budo martial arts, absolutely. But no theater is just something that I've heard of it. I read like one sentence about it in my textbook, but that's it for
sure,
90% of Japanese people.
sure.
So they are struggling very much, and I'm struggling too, actually, to try to
Interesting.
spread no theater overseas. It's just the concepts are really deep and sometimes too difficult and complicated that it's really
Yeah.
hard to explain it to people overseas too. So
Well, yeah. I mean, it's visually very, very interesting. But
Mhm.
if I could give a suggestion to the no
Yeah,
world,
yeah,
which I
please.
don't think the no world needs my suggestions, but they might want to speed up the story a bit. It's really slow.
It
Uh, when
is.
I the moment I noticed this is I went my because my buddy, he was 10 years older than me, and my senior from
Yeah.
University of Toronto, he did his PhD in no theater at
Mm.
Tokai University, which I think is the center for no
Wow.
studies in Japan.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Um, and he took me to some no, and
Mhm.
we went, and it was about like a good 4.5 hours. Now, of course, there's a little bit of Kyogen in between, but it was
Yeah. Yeah.
basically
Yeah. Yeah.
his story went on for 4.5 hours. And
Uh-huh.
then he had like one piece of paper, two-sided. And he was walking
Yeah.
out, and he had put some pencil marks into it. And I said, "What's that piece of paper?" And he said, "Oh, that's the script." I said, "That's the
Exactly.
script. This is this on
Yes.
this two-sided single piece of A4 paper. You're telling me
Yeah.
this is everything they said in the last 4.5 hours." He said, "Yep, that's it."
Yes, that is true. Yes. There's a lot of just the dancing and just the instruments parts and such. So the actual singing parts could be really, really small sometimes. Yeah.
Well, and I
Really.
assume they're extremely repetitive as well.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's right. But
Oh, it's hilarious.
that's
Yeah,
another thing, about the history that you mentioned about when you explained about the Edo style and the Osaka style Rakugo,
yeah,
it's the same thing for no theater too. It was originally a stage performance for people who had a lot of time,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
they're
yeah,
high
yeah.
ranked people. They'd be sitting there, with their huge kimonos on and go on and do my no theater for me and they'd be have, all day to listen to those and enjoy them.
So
So
funny.
it's different from doing Rakugo on the Sando kind of thing he's explained to
Yeah,
you.
yeah. You
Yes, just
gotta
earlier.
speed it
So
up,
yeah, yeah.
speed it up, or people are
But
leaving.
yeah, but so I've already filmed a couple of Let's Ask Isumi Sensei series. Isumi Sensei is my no theater master. Yeah.
Nice,
I've already filmed a couple of videos. We actually rented a whole nobutai for one day, and we filmed like
beautiful.
7, 8 videos there, taking a look at all the details of the stages, and he
Yeah,
explained to
yeah,
us all the secrets of why this part is shaped like this or why this design is like that and all that. So it's really, really interesting when you go deep into it. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'll try to keep on finding a way to try to have more people enjoy no theater
Well,
too.
don't tell
That's
your sensei my suggestion. I don't think he'll appreciate it.
totally yeah, it's really difficult. Yeah, no theater, the world of no theater is very, very strict with all
Yeah.
the traditions, and
Oh no, I
there's
can imagine.
so many things that we cannot change. Like for example, one really interesting thing is that like in the world of EI, yes,
Yeah,
EI Duha styles, there are new styles that are even born today. So
yeah,
basically, if you say you pick up a katana and say this is Shogo style, then basically you're doing Shogo style. Go ahead,
yeah.
kind of thing. If people want to learn from you, then you actually have a style.
That's it. Yeah,
Congratulations. But
yeah,
in the world of no theater, yes, there's 5 styles. Yes,
yeah. And that's
and
it.
this was determined during the Edo period by the
Sure,
shogunate.
sure, sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure.
And from there, even though the shogunate is gone, no one is allowed to touch anything from there. No
I
one's
can
allowed to
imagine.
change the names or have more Duha styles or have less to Duha styles. You're not allowed to
I
do
can
anything.
imagine.
And there's so many other strict traditions that are carried down like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Why do
yeah,
we do
yeah.
this? Oh, because the Edo shogunate decided that we should do it this way. So we're not
Yeah.
going to be changing it, kind of thing. Which is,
Well,
in a way,
it
a
sounds
good
pretty
thing.
official. Well,
Yeah.
that's it. Then it's well preserved in that way.
Exactly. But the presentation, though, is probably I
Yeah,
mean, I don't want to sound really arrogant, because I'm not even a professional in the world of no theater. I hope to be in a couple of years. I've already
yeah.
done something called the Maibayashi, which is kind of like a stage in the performance that you do. So it
Oh,
starts
okay.
from the sutai. Sutai, su is the moto, it means just the singing. Then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
move
yeah,
on to
yeah.
the shimai, where you're just wearing a kimono, motsuki kimono, and it's just the singing and you dancing. The
Right.
maibayashi is the third stage where you're just wearing the kimono, but you have the instruments and the chorus.
Oh,
So
very good.
now you have to dance along with the instruments, which is a lot more difficult than just the chorus. Yeah. And the
I
fourth stage is finally
see.
called the no theater. Yeah.
Right.
We have the shozoku on, you have the mask on, you have to do a whole play, which could be a few hours long. Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you do
4.5
even
hours to be specific.
it could be. Yeah, the shorter ones could be like less than like what, 40 minutes or 30 minutes and such. Yeah.
Oh, I should have gone to
But
see that one.
once, yeah, once you do one full no performance, yeah, you're
Yeah.
finally considered a kuroto, which is
Yeah.
like your professional line kind of
Professional,
thing.
sure.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll be doing it. Most people do that around maybe training in like 10 years or so.
Right?
So
Okay.
I might be able to do it in my early 30s. I'm 30 right now, so I might be able
Right.
to do it before I turn 35. Yeah, I'm
Sure,
hoping to
sure,
do
sure,
so.
sure.
But
Gotcha.
yeah, so
Well, that's
the
incredible.
yeah, the biggest problem with No Theater right now is absolutely the presentation. They definitely need
Yeah.
to be able to explain a little bit more about what the charms and what's
And
so interesting about No
significance and
Theater.
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't need to do that in the past because
Yeah.
everyone admired No Theater. Oh, No Theater is something that the samurais would watch. Oh, No
Yeah.
Theater sounds so amazing. But today it's not that anymore, right? So we need to use our words a little bit more to explain why No Theater is so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the No masters themselves don't have experience doing that because people
Yeah.
would automatically come, right?
Sure.
Yeah, because No Theater had their their rank in among all the traditional cultures, everything.
Sure.
But that I believe needs to change. Yeah.
They took it for granted.
Exactly.
You done.
Yes.
You done. Stop.
You done. Yes, that's right. So
Very
I
funny.
think,
Yeah,
the
interesting,
No
interesting.
Theater
It's
world
fascinating.
it's in a crisis, I personally feel.
I think it will always have an audience. I mean, there's people in New York who are just like Americans who are just like, oh, No Theater sends me into a trance of like otherworldliness. And I'm like, okay, well, good for you.
Yeah.
No, they love
Anyway,
it. They love it. Yeah.
it does actually, but it takes some
Yeah.
time and a lot of steps to get that far though
Sure,
in the
sure,
world
sure,
of No
sure.
Theater. Yeah. If I can talk a little bit about the world of shakuhachi too, by the way. Yes.
100%. Yeah. Please.
Sunshine, are you familiar with this band called Wagaki Bando? Do you know Wagaki Band?
Wagaki Bando. No, I
Yeah,
don't
they're a
think I
band of
am.
8 people actually, and they have traditional instruments
Yeah.
and the electric guitar and the bass and the drums combined together. They actually been performing for like 10 years. They're super
I've heard
popular in
this.
Japan.
This sounds
outside of
very,
Japan.
very interesting. Really? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sounds like something I would love. Are you part of it?
Yeah.
No.
No,
okay.
I wish it was. Yeah,
Okay.
but the thing is that my sixth sensei, my master in Kobudo, yeah,
Right.
he actually is a big fan of Wagakiban, and
Oh, no
we
way.
actually had the vocalist and also the shakuhachi player and the koto player. The three have a different group called Hanafugetsu. On
Okay.
his birthday, a year ago, I actually
Yeah.
did a surprise. I asked him to write a song for our
Yeah.
YouTube channel, and I also asked him to come to the dojo as a surprise.
Wow.
And he almost fainted because he loves the vocalist especially so much.
Right,
She has a
right,
beautiful
right.
voice,
Wow.
And I did that surprise for them. So we keep in touch sometimes. The Waki members, Waki
Right.
band members, and especially the shakuhachi player who is Kaminaga Daisuke-san. Kaminaga
Yeah.
Daisuke-san is actually my sensei in shakuhachi.
Right.
Yeah, and now he is actually now a COO CEO of a company that's related to promoting Japanese traditional music and instruments and such.
Oh,
and he
so
has been
good.
sometimes contacting me about how should we keep the culture of Japanese traditional culture music
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
one
yeah.
thing he told me that I personally once I heard it, I was like, that's a huge problem, is that there's these really ancient notes, of the
Yeah.
old music, traditional music that's been carried on for centuries,
Sure.
The notes, the companies that own the original version, yes,
Right.
because they can't afford the storage anymore, they
Right.
have to throw those away actually from next year.
The music.
They have to, yeah, exactly. The notes, the music, they have to start
Oh,
throwing them away because they don't have a
no.
place to keep them. And now people are
Oh,
desperately
man.
copying them and trying to get their own copy. But of course, it's huge. You need a big warehouse to keep them in. And you
Oh
have
no,
to
I can
pay the rent
imagine,
every
but it was
month, right?
it'd be such a shame to throw that kind of thing out.
If we forget to get one copy of one of those, it's going to be gone forever.
Oh, forever,
So
yeah.
something like that is happening like this year, next year, like this recent, like it's happening
Right,
now.
right.
So
Wow, it's fascinating.
hearing those story, I'm like, oh my gosh, Let's Ask Shogo really has to do something about this,
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
It's such a
exactly.
weird thing. That's a problem you would never think of unless confronted with it by the reality of it, right? You think, oh, it's just hard to store all the music.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Talking
right.
about? What are you talking about? It's paper.
Yeah, but
There's so much, right? I can see.
that's how that's the kind of crisis they're in right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So
What a great question. Thank you, Jan.
yeah, absolutely. Yes, thank you so
Jan-san.
much. We're absolutely waiting for more and more questions.
Yeah,
Yes,
guys,
anytime,
throw
so.
us your questions. Excellent questions. Geez, we could just spend the whole podcast answering questions. This is great topics.
Yes,
Thank you very much,
absolutely.
guys. Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. So, Susan, what do you think? It's been about an hour since been recording. Maybe you can record about an hour every time,
I
or
like this. I feel like this is the right amount of time. If we're going to do our own topic and some audience topics, I think this is perfect.
yeah, this is
Like
good. Okay, perfect.
between 45 minutes and an hour is good. Is good for me.
Absolutely.
Let us know what you think, guys, in the comments. If you like, do you want us to go longer? Do you want us to shut up?
Yeah.
You can always turn us
Let's
off.
see how that goes. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
about an
yeah,
hour,
yeah.
so yeah, maybe I was thinking maybe we could I still have a list of questions I'd be happy to ask you actually, like how many apprentices do you want to have in the future? What is your
Oh,
ultimate
interesting.
goal? And I actually went to my second daughter's Hichigo-san recently.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
want
yeah.
to talk a little bit about what Hichigo-san is to the people listening and so on and so forth. But we have
Nice.
the day after tomorrow again.
We have another one day
Actually.
after tomorrow. Okay, so let's save a
Yes,
couple
yes.
of questions.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely want to hear about Shichigo-san. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we're
Perfect.
actually going to be posting the third episode today. Actually, at the point of recording, in about a couple of hours, we're going to be posting the
Okay.
next episode. We'll probably have more questions there. So
Perfect.
yeah, we'll have some of those as well then.
Perfect. So I'll see you the day after tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you, Shogo-san.
ありがとうございました. Thank you so
お疲れ様でし
much.
た。
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. The two of us are involved in various Japan-related projects on a global scale, so please take a look at the description for more information. We're looking forward to your comments too. Then we'll talk to you again in the next one.
ありがとうございました.